Welcome to Spiritual Direction and Soul Care Sunday Live every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, or most Sundays. We didn't last week because it was after Christmas, but you get my point. Sunday Live, together again, the second day of 2022. It is a new year. So happy New Year. If you are hanging out with us or watching for the first time, I invite you to join our growing community over at Facebook. Invite your friends if you're already part of the group, whether you're watching today on the broadcast or the replay. Invite people to come join us. Let's keep the group growing. We've got a lot of people over there, and it's good to be in a community where we are sharing our wisdom and growing and pursuing healing and finding insanely practical tools for the spiritual journey. And that doesn't change, even though it is a new year. You can also go over to our website, spiritualdirectionandsoulcare.com, and learn more about our soul care program there. It's a monthly subscription program where you get a soul care session with me along with some other benefits. You can learn more there. Would love to connect with you. And if you're not interested in the soul care program, but you would like to try a soul care session, just let me know. Reach out to me on the Facebook page and let's set up a time and let's do a deep dive and get healed and gain some imagination for transformation. It's good. We'll talk a little bit about that too in a little bit. Wish we were all together. Jill and I have been knocking around. Some of you have said, hey, let's get a retreat or something going. Well, we're in the longest surge of the pandemic. So I don't know if an in-person retreat is happening anytime soon, but we are definitely thinking about that and doing some groundwork, digging around, seeing what options are for what an in-person spiritual direction and soul care kind of family reunion, homecoming sort of thing might be. So if you have ideas about that, things you'd love to see, places, ideas, let us know. Just let me know. Throw it in the chat or, send me a message. Terry says we could do an online seminar together. Yeah, we could do like a weekend retreat or something, like a digital retreat, something. Who knows? We'll see where it goes. But we are constantly planning and thinking about just other options, other ideas, other ways that we can connect and grow together and support each other as we do this thing called life. And I love you guys, and I'm so glad you're with me today, whether you're watching on the broadcast or the replay. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. We'll be doing some thinking about it and some planning and some dreaming. And as always, like I said, let us know kinds of the things that you would love to see in something like that. What are things you're interested in? What are things that you would want to do? I know I'd want to do some space where we have good time to rest and laugh and eat good food. I think that would be a key component of some of that as well as doing some good spiritual practices together. So let me know your ideas. Would love to hear. Let's keep dreaming and planning. So let's begin as we always do. We open to the spirit with our most basic spiritual practice. We breathe and we come to stillness. We give ourselves the gift of stillness. So let's do that together right now. Let's breathe. And out. If you're sitting, make sure your feet are flat on the ground. You're comfortable. And breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Let your shoulders drop. You can rest your hands on your knees, or you can do the same, palms up, with your hands resting at your knees as we breathe in for 2, out for 5, breathing in and out. And in and out. Let your thoughts flow. They're constantly bubbling. That's what your mind is designed to do, is to think. So don't resist it. But don't get caught up in it. Just let the thoughts flow. When we resist, that increases our agitation. As you continue to breathe, think about those spaces in your life that you feel agitated or unsettled. Where is it that you are resisting or pushing back? It's not that all our agitation is our own fault or anything like that. It's just that this helps us recognize the way we might be helping increase our own agitation. Take yourself out of the scenario. Let go. Let something that is frustrating simply be frustrating. Don't be frustrated about your frustration. Don't add agitation to what you are unsettled about. Don't judge yourself because you're preoccupied. Let go in your breath with the assumption that to be at rest, to be spiritual, to be in touch with God and in tune with God's Spirit, that you have to be perfectly at peace, perfectly wise, feeling sacred and holy. No. You live your life in a life full, in a world full of content. You feel what you feel. Just breathe as you feel, with no judgment. And no blame. Breathe in. And let go and breathe out. You are here, full of light and love. Even if you're tired, even if you're sick, you are loved. You are enough. Just like not judging yourself, you can let go of not only judging yourself, but let go of the I wish, the part of you that has been taught to always think in terms of what is coming, what you wish you had in this moment, instead of accepting where you are as you are, as you breathe in. When we judge ourselves or live in an imagined future, either in a wanted future, a desired future that is not here yet, and so you feel like you've gotten ripped off, or a future, whether you're living in a future that you fear. It doesn't exist, but that is something we do to ourselves. We're hurting ourselves. And that's the source also of judgment of others. We don't like how we feel, so we think we have to discover a reason and blame someone and punish someone. The power of breathing and stillness is that we free ourselves in these few moments from the toxic ideas of our culture, our religions, the stories that you were told explicitly or implicitly in the family you grew up in, whatever it is. We free ourselves and we simply let go. We stop evaluating, we stop assessing, we stop blaming. We simply accept that we are here and you are safe. Stay in it here for just a few more moments as we breathe in and out. Welcome if you are just joining us. We're so glad you're with us. As you sit in stillness, as you've rested in your breath, how do you feel? What's happening in your body, your gut, your chest, your head, wherever it is? For me, I feel very open in my chest area. I feel very open. As if a welcoming space has been created. Whether you're feeling that literally or not, imagine that with me, an opening at the very center of your being, full of welcome, a readiness to receive wisdom, an eagerness to share your wisdom. And in 2022, let's get rid of the idea that wisdom is like a performance thing, like being vulnerable and honest about who you are with others. That is wisdom. It doesn't have to be mic drop, perfectly stated nuggets of ideas. That's not it. It's not something where you have to put on a show or perform. When we live openly, when we speak honestly about who we are and where we're at, that is us sharing the deep wisdom that rises from within us. So if you have good thoughts to offer, great. But if all you have to offer is your sadness, then that is your wisdom to share that we can hold and honor. If all that you have to offer is your fatigue, that you're tired and that you're open and honest about that, that is wisdom. Let's not make it about performance or needing to be put together. Let's just get rid of all of that in 2022. Let's stop pretending. Let's stop performing. Stop giving power to other people based on what you think they think, or what you think, or what they think, what they say they think even. It doesn't matter. Let's be ourselves, and be present to ourselves, and be present to each other. Imagine that space filling with light, the light of God, the shining, comforting, healing light of the Holy Spirit that leads and guides each of us, that is within all persons. Like the Quakers say, there is that of God in each of us. God is with us. We are made by God. We belong to God. God is present always and always working. And to that we say amen, amen, amen. In the Yoruba tradition, the languages of the Yoruba people in Africa, they have their version of amen. They say ashe. It means it shall be so. Ashe, amen, amen. Welcome, welcome, all of you. Happy New Year. I see so many of you have joined us today. So welcome. Welcome, Terry. It's good to see you back again. Erica, so glad that you are with us. I'm glad that each one of you are here. If you're watching with us right now, why don't you just say hi in the chat so we can greet you? And you guys you're diving in, you're already sharing. Terry says, I'm holding onto the word safety. I need it. Jill says she's sleepy. Erica, you have been vulnerable here. You say you were feeling sad and lost. We honor your sacred presence with us. We honor your vulnerability. We honor you. And I know Terry's feeling, really vulnerable as well. So we're so glad both of you are here. We're so glad that you're spending time with us. Just to have a moment to give ourselves the gift of breath and stillness, to honor your sadness, to honor your fears, to honor that, and to know that you are not alone. We love you. We love you so much. If you're watching right now on the broadcast or even on the replay, it does not matter. Just take a moment right now to direct your thoughts toward Erica and send her love, send her healing right now. May the Spirit flow to you. And let's do the same for Terry as well. Let's send her love and send her healing. May the Spirit flow to you and give you a sense of safety. And Erica, may you have a sense of place. When we feel lost, we don't know where we are. May you have a deep and abiding sense of place wherever you are, feeling grounded in this moment. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are with us today. It is so good. See, this is the fruit of opening to the Spirit. Like when people are ready, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but right intention, when we open ourselves to these kinds of moments, it's one of the most easy, most practical spiritual tool that opens us immediately into deeper connection, deeper awareness of ourselves, deeper connection with others, deeper connection with the presence of God, deeper connection with the Holy Spirit that is flowing in us and through us and all around us, that is healing and counseling and supporting and comforting us. See what happens right away. Everyone's diving in, right? Mark says, I'm accepting where I am now is something I definitely strive to work on this year. Being in the moment, not borrowing trouble, not judging my body now, being present. I love that. I absolutely love that. That's good no matter where we are, right? No matter what our particular baggage is, all of us can do this. This is great. This is really great. Yes, it's so awesome. So it's 2022, and I said I wanted to talk a little bit about seeing the miracles. I wanted to share 10 lessons today, 10 lessons that have cultivated wonder and hope for me and that I want to keep learning and keep doing. And maybe some of these or all of these will work for you, and you can jump in on this as well. And as I'm sharing, just tell us at any point. We'll interact on the chat and the Facebook Live. What are the lessons that you learned in 2021? What are the lessons that you want to keep learning? Mark has shared some of them. Let's talk about it. Let's share. And maybe, and also as I share these 10 lessons, give me your thoughts. See if that works for you. It's okay to even say, you know what, Nathan, that lesson sounds like it's, you're saying that's good for you. But that's not really where I am today. This is the lesson I want to learn. Share that with us too. We want to not only understand how deeply universal the spiritual life is and the spiritual journey is, but we also want to honor the uniqueness that each one of us is experiencing, because each one of us is different, and the spiritual journey is deeply, deeply similar and deeply, deeply different. all at the same time. It's a mystery here, right? Judy's here. Welcome, Judy. So glad you're with us. Judy says, I'm here. My mom is in the hospital, not doing well. I had this dream last night in which it was revealed to me scenes from the past in which I was trying to take care of her, even yelling and demanding in frustration from a broken systems. And I was shown the beauty in those moments, even the beauty in my grief, how I was being cheered on by those in heaven. I love that. I absolutely, absolutely love that. Um, that is amazing. What a dream. Huh. It's it's a dream of comfort. That's amazing. I love that. Cheered on by those in heaven. Yeah. And let's have a little bit of heaven today, right? Right here now. Let's cheer each other on as we share what we're learning, share where we're at. Just throw it in the chat if you have some lessons in 2021. And you know what? It's okay if you don't feel like you have any lessons in 2021, because like I said, it's not about performance or competition or anything like that, it's there was plenty of that when the pandemic started, right? Learn a new language, read a book, like do all your projects. Like we don't have to perform. We don't have to put pressure on ourselves. Okay. So if you don't, that's okay. But if you've got something that you've really thought about, share it. And if maybe some of the lessons that I'm sharing might inspire some things that you remember or some aha moments for you in this past year, or maybe it'll inspire some aha moments about like what you're hoping for in 2022. Okay. So like I said, it's 2022, right? And all around us is the same talk that we have every year about the new year, right? And I don't always really know what to think about the year-end new year chatter that we have every year. You know what I mean? I don't always know what to think about it. Even when I was younger, when resolutions were like a thing and all that, like I just was like, don't put pressure on me. This thing we're doing is hard enough. You know what I mean? And it's like, stop telling me what to do was part of it too, right? And I think like while I've gotten past all that, it's just every year though, I think I feel this kind of tension because I know that we all need to mark moments, right? Like we need, as human beings in our spiritual journey, as we engage this thing called life, we all need to be able to mark our moments, mark big moments, and do it in ways that give us hope, do it in ways that give us a sense of, a second chance, a new beginning, right? We need those, right? And it can always seem a little bit forced and exhausting too, when we think about it, we're going into the third year, right? The third year of COVID. So much of the same baggage and struggles we all have are clearly still with us, and going into 2022 and looking back, we could see that we've discovered new treasures, right? New wisdom, new strength that keep us resilient and grateful and humble and compassionate with ourselves and with others. Some of you are sharing right now in the chat here. I'm loving this. Judy says it's not about performance. It's courageous just to accept our humanity. Yes, let's accept ourselves in 2022 even more. Let's radically accept ourselves. And let's get real about that with other people too, right? You don't have to be around people who don't accept you. You don't have to keep them near. You don't owe people who don't accept you anything, Terry says, I'm meditating on renewal. It's a concept that I'm concentrating on and hearing confirmation too. I love that, renewal. And Judy says to her, renewal or rebirth of the inner child is a big theme with me and my spiritual friends right now as well. I love this. See, like when you start opening to the inner life, right? When you start opening to the spirit, it starts to connect you deeply with others who are open as well. Do you see the synchronicity and the connections here already? Right? Mark says, I've learned to be grateful for what is good and who I hold closest to my heart. Being able to perform this summer with such an intimate group was a blessing. Realizing how blessed Diana are with friends and family during her post-op complications and recovery. I'm grateful for these things in 2021, right? Like we don't have to pretend like things are okay when they're not. But we should also, I'm going to use the word should very carefully. We should like be able to like find something, right, that we can see that we're grateful for, that we can see the good in, or even the hope for if there was nothing. If you can't see anything, the ability to go and look forward to hope for something better than what was, right? Um, I say you should because you're doing yourself a favor, right? When we learn to see the miracles, when we learn to see the positive, when we learn to see the gifts, even the gift of, man, I really wanted that to be different. And now I know what I really value, like even if everything was terrible, right? The clarity about what you want and what you're not willing to live with anymore, that's a gift too. Those are things that are good. Don't cheat yourself. You know what I mean? Don't cheat yourself out of that, right? Don't hold yourself out back from that. Like give that gift to yourself, right? I mean, I've learned to see the deeper miracles and I'm still learning and I want to keep learning, to see the deeper miracles that are all around us and in us. And the deeper miracles that are all around us that we couldn't see, right? Until the old routine, right? The old way of living, right? The old structure, the rat race, all the stuff got disrupted. Like until that stuff got disrupted and interrupted and fallen apart, you weren't able to see. I wasn't able to see all these other possibilities, right? And so I want to share 10 lessons I'm learning. I don't think I've learned these things 100%, but I'm learning, right? And there are things I'm working on to keep me open and to keep me open-hearted so that wonder can grow in me, right? And so I can see the miracles that are all around because, that's really all a miracle is something that creates wonder, that inspires wonder in us, right? And it's all around us all the time, all the time. So let me share some of the lessons I'm learning. And let's see here. Yeah. All right. First one is I can use loss to clarify my values, right? I can use loss to clarify my values. When you lose something, you realize what's truly important to you, right? And it's not just like losing something and then saying, oh, the thing that I lost is important. Sometimes when we lose stuff, we realize how unimportant it really was. But we've been taught to believe that somehow it was so crucial to our lives. That's the thing that's really important, right? To know. Like, it's like what I said early on. It's like, if there's something I can't care about during the pandemic, something that I can't, care about or take care of in the pandemic, then I probably shouldn't care about it when there's no pandemic, right? Maybe it wasn't that important at all. Maybe I should start asking, who told me that XYZ was so important, right? What was it distracting me from? What was it keeping me from, right? If I can't care about it during a pandemic, then maybe I shouldn't care about it at all. Maybe it really wasn't that important. So loss clarifies values. Sometimes the things you lose, you realize, man, why were we doing that running around craziness other than to like look like we're like successful, great people who are doing enough for their kids, Why were we doing that, right? I mean, we've commented all the time about how in COVID, it's like, it's suddenly like it's 1983 again, like there's a whole lot of not much to do. And then we're all feeling like, oh, feel anxious or lazy or whatever the words are that you use, and it's like, it's actually good to sit around at the house at the end of the day and read a book and listen to music. You shouldn't have to like go create a whole bunch of stuff. It's actually good for my kids to not be able to be expecting us to entertain them or take them somewhere or buy them something or whatever. It's actually good for them to like have to push through and just like, sit around and make Legos, sit around and draw, do something creative. I mean, some of us who grew up in the 80s, like we could sit for hours in our rooms, right? Legos, Lincoln Logs, drawing, reading, all those things, playing outside a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's so different, but there are still versions of that for us as adults too. Why were we doing half of the stuff we were doing before we were told we couldn't do it? Because when you really think about it, it was exhausting. Like, so it's, and none of us really wanted to do it. do some of these things, right? But we felt like we had to. I don't know what these things specifically are for you. I know what they are for me. But that's my first thing that I'm really leaning into is use loss to clarify your values, right? The second thing that I'm growing in appreciation for is developing an imagination for transformation. That's one of my key phrases all the time, right? Like in 2021, I found new skills. I found a deeper appreciation for the strength and power I didn't even realize I had until I needed it, right? And in that too, discovering the gift of people who showed up when it mattered, right? Who, because they showed up and were there and pointed you or me in a different direction, it gave me a whole new imagination for what was possible. In some cases, it literally saved my life. You know? Imagination for transformation. Here's another thing. I think this past year, I'm starting to learn that I need to stop over functioning, right? Stop trying to do more for everything because somehow I'm afraid that everything's going to fall apart or people, won't, whatever, like all of us overfunction on some level. We do too much. This thing didn't get done. Well, you know what? Some things just don't get done if they don't get done, right? You don't have to overfunction, right? You don't have to have your house look perfect all the time, right? You don't have to look perfect all the time. It's just stop performing. Overfunctioning is part of performing for other people, producing and showing people that we're worthy of being here. We don't have to prove or justify our existence on the planet. We don't have to justify our existence here. We just don't. So stop overfunctioning is what I'm doing. I'm learning to be more open in that too, about my pain, because I think one of the primary ways we overfunction is we deny how we're feeling, right? None of y'all are doing that today. Some of y'all are leading out with some real honesty here but like some of the ways we overfunction is when we try to like hold it all together for everybody else because we're afraid everybody else can't handle it if we're not doing well, And it's like, I'm just learning that I got to be more open about my pain and not to pretend like things are okay when they're not, or to pretend like I like something when I don't like something, to pretend like I'm enjoying something when it's not enjoyable, stop playing those games, it doesn't do me any good. It's one of the things I'm learning. Number 4 for me is to let go. Let go. Now what does that mean to you? Maybe throw it in the chat. Let go means a lot of things, right? But I think another one of those has been like, if there are people who need you to not to be anything other than yourself, you don't need that in your life. You don't need to spend a single second of time around that, right? So let go of people who only like the idea of you, but don't actually love and cherish you, The 5th lesson, though, is the flip side of that, which is hold on. Let go, but then also hold on. Because I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that to hold on to hope, we have to really actually hold on to each other. If you want to hold on to hope, you got to learn how to hold on to each other, because there's this hope that we can cultivate in ourselves, but there's a kind of hope that flows when we connect deeply with those people that we love. When everything goes bad, the people who love you matter so much more, So you got to hold on, right? We hold on to hope by holding on to each other. Let's see here. Another lesson. 10, right? We're on number 5, number 6. 6th lesson right now is You decide. You decide. This is like really powerful for me when I was able to look in the mirror and say, you decide. When it comes to my spiritual health, I am the decider, right? Advice is good. Guidance is essential, but only I can decide what to practice for myself. Only I can decide what to believe. Only I can decide what I need to stake my sense of self on. And that's the same for all of us, right? Only you can decide, right? Only you can decide what works for you in your spiritual health, right? Only you can decide what to believe, right? Only you, because you're responsible for you, right? You have your own journey, right? This is the reason why it doesn't feel good when you get into spiritual spaces or religious spaces where it feels like everybody else is doing a lot of deciding about how things should be and what to believe and stuff, right? That kind of impose ideas on you, right? And then enforce group identity and belonging based on if you agree or not. No, that's like one of the most deeply violating ways of interacting with people. And it leaves people isolated and sad, even though it looks like they're surrounded by a community, right? It can look like you're part of a big group, but that kind of like other people deciding for you way of approaching religion, faith, spirituality, that actually leaves everybody super isolated and judging each other and looking at each other in terms of if you're measuring up and producing. And nobody needs that. It claims to offer health. It claims to offer life. It claims to offer healing. It's claiming to offer a sense of belonging and purpose and all those things. But in reality, if it's asking you to abdicate your right to direct your life, to direct your belief, to direct your sense of self, it's telling you you have to give up your sense of self to a bunch of other people that haven't even actually like told you any other reason why they deserve to make those decisions for you, then no, it actually is going to work against it. It's going to work against you to be more harmful, isolating. And the worst kind of isolation is when you think it looks like you're in a crowd, looks like you belong, but you actually have no connection with each other. There's nothing lonelier than that. There's nothing more sad making than that. There's all these people in front of you and we're hardwired to connect with each other. And yet somehow we can't connect because everything's filled with judgment and everything's filled with assessment and scrutiny because we've given up our right to let somebody else decide what is good and right and true for us, right? What actually works for our spirits and for our minds and our souls. You can't give that to anybody else. That's one of the lessons I'm learning. I decide. I'm the decider when it comes to my spiritual health, right? What's good for my spiritual balance. Number 7, don't dabble. Don't dabble. Don't just dabble in life, In 2022, it's another year. Yes, you have a chance to explore new habits, right? New practices, new spiritual practices, new hobbies, whatever it is, you can discover new interests, discovering new interests and ideas. That's key to human growth. That's key to spiritual growth. That's key to becoming vital and full and expanding and growing and unfolding and becoming more of who you are. But go all in on stuff, right? To really see what fits you, and what works for you. Don't just like take a little bit of a sample. You know what I mean? Like, don't dabble. Right? Go all in. Go all in. Number 8 is find your balance. This is a big one for me, is learning to find my balance, right? Diligence, working hard at what we need to work hard at, that's really good, right? Persistence is good. When we see that we can keep on keeping on, right? That builds hope in us as well. It shows us that we're strong. It shows us that we're doing okay, right? Even if you're feeling terrible, even if you're grieving, right? Even if the whole world fell apart, right? The fact that you got up today, maybe you showered, maybe you didn't, Maybe today you showered and you're like, that's a big step for me. Well, good. Persistence is good. That shows that you're taking one more, you did it one more day. You did it. Good job, right? These things are good, right? Diligence and persistence, these are good things. These are good things, even if everything feels terrible. You're here, you got up, your feet hit the floor, you're breathing. There's a deep persistence that is embedded in your very body, right? Sometimes that's all the persistence you can manage. That's okay. And that is fine. That is totally fine, because some of us have gone through some shit this year. Some of us have gone through some hard stuff. Some of us lost things we never thought we would lose, right? So if you're just getting up and waking up, let your body's own built-in persistence do that persistence work for you if that's where you are right now, okay? Yes, Erica, Denny said, go all in. Yeah, go all in. Do it full. Live life to the full, right? But I always want to make sure that we're not like putting pressure and saying you got to perform either, right? It's okay to have downtimes. It's okay, especially like when you're dealing with deep grief, right? It's okay to want to lay up in bed. You know what I mean? That's normal, right? That's your body making space for you to navigate what you're navigating, So find that balance, right? Austerity, like holding back, living like a monk, like punishing yourself and never getting anything that you can enjoy. It's not a good way to live, right? Excessiveness, going all in is not being excessive, right? Like going all in means giving your whole self to something, but excessiveness you don't need that either, right? It's the opposite, right? Some of you are resonating with this. I'm seeing you guys really connect with this in the chat here. Terry says, my body needs a lot of space these days. Yes, girl, honor your body and just do it. Do it. Do it. Darcy says, this reminds me of a recent story. My 19-year-old is growing in her faith, has realized some toxic things she's experienced as a youth at a church camps. One being that it felt to her that the goal of these camps was to cry to prove how moved how moved you were. Oh, I'm laughing because I get it. I get this. Oh man. Yeah. She felt that if you cried and you were more spiritual, and this made youth leaders happy. She's not a crier. Once they even told leaders to look around and see who isn't crying. Oh my God. Okay, it's 2022, and I don't want to lose the joy of my salvation on only the second day of the year. But like, come on, y'all. Church leaders saying, look around and see who isn't crying. I have words for that. My 10-year-old hears this in the back and asks for clarification. So my 19-year-old said, basically, they want you to fake cry so you look spiritual. He pipes up and says, oh, so it's like TV wrestling. That is hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. And man, this connects to virtually everything we've talked about. So it's okay. You're saying that the comments like that is amazing. Oh, so it's like TV wrestling. No, we do not want people to believe that the spiritual life is like TV wrestling. It's not a game. It's not a show, right? Like it's not what is, in technical spaces and in academic spaces, they call it extrinsic religion. Extrinsic, meaning like having to do with the outside, right? Like extrinsic religion, extrinsic spirituality is about control and performance. And it's just weird. Like, why do you want to force people to cry? Like, let people have their emotions and let people be wired the way you're wired, right? Like you're saying your daughter's not a crier. Like that's okay. That doesn't mean she doesn't have an emotional world, right? But do you see how weird that is to like say like there's only a couple set of approved emotions even that are our thing, that we're allowed to perform, and then everything else is, that's bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers, right? But it's like TV wrestling, right? Like I don't want a faith that is about TV wrestling. That's like TV wrestling. So I don't want that. And neither do you, because that can't heal me. That only gets me trapped. in other people's perceptions. That's me giving away my power again. That's me letting other people be the decider, right? And it binds us up and stresses us out. You know what I'm saying? Which is perfect transition to lead us to number 9, which is this is the 9th rule for me, my 9th lesson that I'm trying to live into for 2022. Lighten up. Lighten up. Like G.K. Chesterton, the writer, said, angels can fly because they take themselves lightly. Like if you're overly earnest and too concerned with what others think of you, you'll suck the joy out of your own life. Right? This is kind of what Darcy is talking about. It's like, why would you want a whole religious system designed to be earnestly concerned with performing in a certain way so other people have the power to decide if you're good or spiritual or not, right? Like that's not that's not a faith of joy. That's not peace. That's not joy, right? If your joy is dependent on the approval or affirmation of others, you're screwed. You're screwed. Like, so lighten up, like lighten up. If your sense of self is dependent on your fear of the possible negative perceptions of people, then you're stuck in bondage. You literally put your soul in jail, right? And this is where, like we talked about during when we were breathing earlier, right? This is where judgment rises up then, right? This is why we start judging other people. Because everybody else is judging us and we've let them decide their opinion, what they said, what they think, their perception. That's reality. If they say that's about you or how your face should be or how you should perform or what you're like or whatever, then that's reality. So then but you still feel judged because that doesn't feel good. So then you judge back, and like it's just a weird judgment bondage cycle that just teaches everybody to just loathe themselves and not really trust anybody. You don't need that. Let's lighten up in 2022. There are some really crappy things still going on in 2022. No doubts about it. But like, let's lighten up. Let's lighten up about some things. Let's not like make it a thing, right? Like now, don't use lighten up when somebody says something crappy or sideways to you, and then you get frustrated and hurt by that. And then somebody goes, just lighten up. It was a joke. Like, don't use lighten up as a way for you to say sideways crappy things to people or anything like that, right? I'm just saying that in general. If there's this thing and you go, we need to do, maybe stop yourself and go, do we really need to do that? Do I really need to worry about that? Is that really a thing? Right? And don't do the whole, it doesn't matter. It's what I wanted. Like, don't do that. Just be like, does it matter? Now, remember too, like lighten up is an invitation that only I can give to myself. It's like nobody ever calmed down in an argument when the person in the argument with them told them to calm down. Okay. So like, this isn't lighten up isn't a weapon to use against anybody else. Lighten up is an invitation to give to yourself. Okay. Lighten up, right? Give yourself a break. 99% of what we think matters probably doesn't. And as long as this thing feels that we're doing called life, even though this can feel like a long journey, it's also really fast. So like, don't give your power to anybody else, and don't forget to enjoy yourself along the way. And like, it's cliche, but don't sweat the small stuff. And vast majority of stuff in life is the small stuff. Like most of what we think matters doesn't, what matters is loving each other. What matters is believing in each other. What matters is not letting other people decide for you what is good and right and what is happiness for you. What matters is not adding to the harm that's going on around us many times. What matters is helping people in need, right? Those are the things that matter. And I think number 10, the lessons that I'm learning and I'm carrying into 2022. Right intention is everything. Right intention is everything. Now, I'm not talking about sincerity. I'm not talking about, intention versus impact of your actions on another person. That's not what I'm saying, because I think the impact on others is more important, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your mindset as you step into each day. Because what are all these things getting us toward? The ability to see the miracles all around us, right? Everything can be a miracle. Everything around us can bring us wonder and thus bring us hope, right? Everything can be made sacred. And that means too, then, that everything can be made less than sacred or vulgarized, right? Profaned, right? As someone once said, sitting in a church doesn't make you any more spiritual or holy than sitting in a garage will make you a car, right? So think about it. It's the intention with which we approach our action to be able to help us see around us that everything is a miracle, right? Think about it. Eating when you eat can be a matter of just simply filling your belly with anything edible so that you can have fuel for the day, or eating can be a holy sacred practice where every bite is a prayer of thanks, where every bite is you stepping into a deeper awareness of the profound pleasure of being alive, where the food itself becomes a metaphor for how life can be just utterly delicious and wonderful, right? Helping your neighbor. It can be transactional obligations so that you look good or you're expected to do, driven by pressure or social perceptions, right? Or helping your neighbor can be a compassionate act of service that enlarges your heart and enlarges their heart. But it's the intention behind it, right? The right attitude, right? The right outlook, the right mindset can make every day holy. Every day holy. Because every day is holy. See, this is the thing too. It's not that everything's neutral or bad and you have to transform it once again by performing, right? It's about the mindset so that you see the natural state of everything around us, that God is always present, God is always working, the Spirit is all around us, and everything is full of holiness and sacredness and fullness of meaning. It's about us getting back in tune with that. And we can get in tune with that any moment that we choose to, right? So these lessons are what keep me open, right? These are the lessons that I'm going to try to keep learning and remembering to keep me open and not closed off. Because there's going to be, like I said, there's a lot of challenge still in 2022. And it'd be really easy to just buckle down and get closed off. But let's not be closed off. Let's grow wonder in ourselves. I want to grow wonder in me. I want to grow wonder in my outlook. Right? I want you to grow that wonder. I want you to grow that deep awareness and attunement to the gifts and the presence and the strengths that are within you and in those you love, right? I want you to let go. I want you to let go of what you don't need anymore. That job, those relationships, those habits, I want you to let go of all that. And I want you to hold on to those that you most deeply love, right? Right? It's like we work on not being closed off, right, Erica? Like we do it by clinging to the people that we know love us, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to be like happy, joy, open-hearted all the time, right? Like it's not a show, right? But yeah, like don't put any preset conditions on what that has to look like. You're walking through a journey of grief, and that's okay. Be with the people, hold on to the people who love you, who can carry and walk with you, right? These are things I want for all of you, because that wonder, as we cultivate that helps us see all the miracles around us and in us and in others. And that's what will give us hope. Hope always seems to spring forth from pain, And some of you might be saying, well, after last year, I'm all full up on hope. Thank you. Go peddle hope elsewhere, please, because we're all full up here. What I mean? Like you might be feeling that. That's okay, But let's walk together. Let's walk together in these next few weeks, especially. We'll keep talking about miracles and asking some good questions for you to reflect on. And I'll be publishing, we'll still do midweek meditation on Wednesdays. I'll be publishing out the midweek meditation schedule for January, either later today or tomorrow. We'll be getting together and doing kind of going deeper on that breathing and guided concepts and guided focuses and themes. We're going to really, have these other practices. That's one of the ways we can hold on, by connecting with each other and sharing and being open, no matter where we are. Okay. Have a great rest of the week. Have a great first full week to 2022. Stay safe. It's a bright blue day here with lots of snow. Stay safe. Mask up, socially distance if you can, care for your community, and we'll see you Wednesday. Terry says, will you help me Wednesday get logged in? Yes, I will. I will do that. I will help you get logged in on Wednesday. Just message me, and when you see, message me, and I'll help you get it all set up. So, all right. Hopefully we'll see you guys there this Wednesday, midweek meditation. We will be diving deep, and we're going to go 2022. Yes, it's going to be awesome. I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of the week, and be safe and know that you're loved.